Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in Modern. Today we're looking at Shape Anew. Shape Anew is a new synergy between Shape Anew, anything that generates an artifact, and Portal to Phyrexia. The combo is very similar to Indomitable Creativity, so if you're familiar with that, you'll understand Shape Anew. For those not in the know, Shape Anew is a 4-mana blue sorcery that says, the controller of target artifact sacrifices it, then reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal an artifact card. That player puts that card onto the battlefield, then shuffles all of their cards revealed this way into their library. So, the idea is to play 1 or 2 big bomb artifacts, in this case Portal to Phyrexia, and no other artifacts in your deck so that Shape Anew will always cascade into Portal. For something that generates an artifact, there's Gingerbread Cabin, a fetchable forest land that makes an artifact food token, similar to how Dwarven Mind makes a dwarf token in creativity decks. Shape Anew and Cabin have both been legal for a while, ever since Eldraine, so the question is why are we only now seeing this deck? Well, before Portal to Phyrexia was printed, there wasn't a good big bomb artifact to Shape Anew into. The best option was probably Sundering Titan, but there are decks that Titan doesn't affect too badly, decks that play no land types like Tron, or only 2 colors like Murktide, so the effect isn't strong enough. Portal to Phyrexia gives Shape Anew an actually valuable target. Portal itself is a 9-mana artifact that says, when Portal to Phyrexia enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. And, at the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It's a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. So, there are similarities to Creativity's payoff, Archon of Cruelty. Both enter and immediately cause the opponent to sacrifice creatures, and both generate additional value. The differences are that Archon generates more value up front since all of its effects happen immediately, unless you're specifically looking to get rid of opposing creatures. And of course, Archon is a large flying body, whereas Portal doesn't provide any immediate board presence. Archon's life swing and draw discard effects are also better in a vacuum since some decks won't have creatures you care to sacrifice. In this regard, I think Archon is the better payoff over Portal, so in that case, why play Shape Anew over Creativity? Well, it has to do with the restrictions of each card. Creativity requires that you play no other artifacts or creatures in your deck since you always need to cascade into Archon. Shape Anew only restricts artifacts, meaning you can play a normal suite of good creatures in the deck, in this case the elementals. For the Shape Anew sideboard, there are matchups where Portal isn't that good, but Sundering Titan is good or better. And if you expect a high amount of burn players, you can also sideboard Platinum Empyrean as a payoff. Outside of those cards though, there really aren't good options for large artifact payoffs. The Shape Anew package can technically go into any deck that wants to play blue-green, but the current versions are slotting it into elementals. There are a few reasons why. First, Portal's second reanimation ability, although it can get back creatures from the opponent's graveyard as well, incentivizes you to play value-based ETB creatures, which elementals has in spades. Bringing back Risen Reef, Omnath, Solitude, or Fury are all good options. The Evoke Elementals are also good for pitching to your graveyard early to stabilize the board and then get back later. Second, ever since the banning of Yorion, the deck has lacked a good late-game value payoff. The Shape Anew plan gives the deck the shot in the arm it needed. And third, in cases where you draw Portal and thus can't Shape Anew into it, it represents a dead card in your hand. However, Omnath can potentially boost you to 9 mana to cast it. The Shape Anew package does come with a cost though, since you need to run nearly all forests to make sure Gingerbread Cabin is always online, which makes the mana base worse. With all that said, I'd look to explore additional lists for Shape Anew, maybe a ramp deck that runs things like Sakura Tribe Elder or Arboreal Grazer to ramp out Shape Anew faster. The point being, there's other directions you could take the Shape Anew package, and the deck designs are currently in their infancy. Tips and tricks. As I already have a video covering elementals, I won't be discussing anything related to those cards unless they specifically interact with Shape Anew or Portal. Shape Anew can get rid of opposing artifacts as well, which you might want to do if your opponent has something problematic like Kaldra, Torpor Orb, or Ensnaring Bridge. If you +3 Fairy, you can cast Shape Anew at instant speed, which is great on its own, but also lets you get rid of things you normally wouldn't be able to, like Dashed Ragavan or Inkmoth Nexus. Although Gingerbread Cabin is in the deck to make an artifact for Shape Anew, there are times when gaining 3 life from the food token is more valuable, such as when you're at a low life total against burn. Don't forget that Portal brings back opponents' creatures as well. Portal's reanimation ability targets, meaning if you want to evoke an elemental and bring it back, you have to do it on your opponent's end step before your upkeep. If you're running Ephemerate and have one on the rebound, you can stack the triggers so that Portal reanimates your creature first and then Ephemerate blinks it. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Shape Anew. Thank you to my supporters, and if you enjoy these videos, consider supporting the channel, and take care.